It finally looks like we might be getting that fabled volcanic support, if not at least pyro. If you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. Yu-Gi-Oh! Power of the Elements just got announced. It's going to be the first booster pack of the year 2022 in Japan. Interesting release schedule, by the way, because, you know, Dimension Force comes out in January. But, alright. This will be actually, should be our July/August set here. Now, I always love talking about these set names because they usually give us a little bit of a narrowed down clue as to what we're going to be looking at here for the next start. Now, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but Yu-Gi-Oh! The set blocks typically go in 2-year intervals. If you guys haven't noticed, as of late, we've been coming out of what has been the Nostalgia Power-Up block. That's what I've pretty much coined it as. If you've noticed, it feels like every protagonist, sub-character, their boss monster has gotten strengthened as of late, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you look at a set like Power of the Elements here, the first thing that I kind of think about, you know, we've recently powered up all of these main boss monsters, right? Stardust, Jack Atlas. Jack technically has gotten like 30 power-ups. I feel like Jack's the exception to the rule because he's gotten like 30 boss monsters out here because Red Dragon Archfiend is just such a crazy powerhouse. So once you kind of look at all that, you're like, okay, so what's going on here? Where do we go from here? I'm almost wondering if this will be a power-up for the Arc V girls. Now, there's a couple of other things here that we'll talk about here in a second, but the reason why I wanted to give a quick little nod here to the Arc V girls, you know, I believe that this also includes Lunalights. I actually don't remember what the other three are. Lunalights usually are the ones that stick out to me the most for this block. And I mean, really, like, what, we got like a duels pack a while ago where you got the very little power-ups for Lunalights, but once you kind of take a step back here and you're like, oh, you know, maybe that's not such a bad idea, because we actually just got that spell card that basically was the anti-dragon card, alright, and they gave you like some searchability. It was a tie-in to the show. It was a great time, right? But my problem is you know, the rest of the girls really haven't gotten a lot of cool nods. I mean, heck, Shark's sister has more power-ups as of late right now than I feel like all the main girl cast out of Arc V. So, seeing a set here where we could potentially strengthen these themes, I think that would be an excellent addition. Alright? It's, you know, Lunalights out here looking like they could use any sort of thing after the loss of Tiger. You know, if we could just errata Tiger to have it be more usable, I think everybody would be a lot more happy with that. So, seeing that this set, I feel like, could be the bridging gap, at least for the Arc V girls, I think most people would be very happy just to see generic power-ups across the board for that. Alright, especially when you can fit in like 3 themes. Oh yeah, most of your player base would absolutely be excited for that, alright? I mean, granted, I guess I should put this in, you know, Lyricalisk and Windwitch did get very little power-ups in the duels packs, alright? But, you know, maybe if we tie this in together, you know, give some generic support across the board. Alright, but I don't know, I kind of feel like this would be an Arc V power-up set just for the girls, just for more powerful boss monsters. Sorry, Lunalights. Sorry, Melodious. Now, we go back to the other side of the counterpoint here. Mistress Doriado. Technically, is Electrum also like a combination of the elements fire, wind, water, like the Avatar here? You know, we could be actually getting something like a Mistress Doriado upgrade, which I think would also be really cool, right? Mistress Doriado has been on the back burner here. I know it's a big jump from like Arc V's, like Melodious, Lunalights, Windwitch, Lyricalisk power-ups here, to, you know, you step on over here and you're like, okay, so we could just be getting a set that focuses on Mistress Doriado, giving, you know, Few Rin Kazin, for example, here. I don't know how many of you guys remember that old card, you know, based on like elements and things, you know, you're able to do different things. Classification cards like that, you know, cards that can do more from, you know, much less. Maybe even a generic Fire Searcher, because heck, man, it feels like every other element at this point in time has a searcher. So why not give us something to, you know, make things a little bit better on the front end here for pyro? I've just got my fingers crossed for you, Payne. That's all I'm saying, all right? Volcanic support, maybe. So headliner here, expect, I think most realistically, probably an elemental Doriado upgrade in the very least in the set. But we still got to see if this ties into the main Yu-Gi-Oh theme here, because that's, you know, we're still technically, we should be heading out of the nostalgia block here soon. So it'd be really weird if we leave the nostalgia block and we just enter into elemental power-ups here and we don't focus it on the show, because if that's the case, then that means that the next 8 Yu-Gi-Oh sets would just be original themed boss monsters, and we finally cut the tie to the power-up nostalgia block, which we got to do original content at some point again. That's not to say that we haven't been already doing that, but being able to connect back to your audience, you know, when you're focusing on rush rules, you know, you get to give, I hate to say it, but every time you can nostalgia tap into that market, your player base goes, oh, this is cool, instead of publishing original content. All right, it's just the best marketing here. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up here is this could be a hero set, ladies and gentlemen. When you have a name such as Power of the Elements here, you know, this could just straight be elemental hero support. You know, Avian is wind, Bursintrix is in fact, you know, fire. There are multiple options here, and you know, those vanilla hero monsters getting some effect counterparts here, something that says, hey, man, you guys ever notice, I know it's another subtopic here, but you ever notice, like, Yu-Gi-Oh's proven to us that we could do, like, the heartbeat effect here. Like, we could make an effect Avian that says this card's name is always treated as Elemental Hero Avian, you know, in the field, graveyard, in the deck. Like, you can do that, right? But I don't feel like Yu-Gi-Oh ever likes to tap into that. The only other, like, real clutch that we've had with that is, like, a Legendary Ocean, for example, here for the interactions. Sea Stealth Attack 2 is another good one where it becomes Umi on the, I believe it's the field and the graveyard at that point. So we have left the market open to explore upgrades where we can count more monsters as X type. Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh's proven to us that they can do that. You know, I don't know if we're necessarily, if once again this comes back to the theory of, you know, we are in that era now where Nostalgia Block's cutting off. If we're really going to tap Nostalgia Block for another 8 sets at this point in time, well, boy oh boy, Heroes I guess would be appropriate, but that original content feels like it could be a nice little touch here. So you got 2 potential animes you can touch it for. GX, I do still like the theory that you can do the Arc V Girl power-ups in here as well. At least maybe Luna Lights, something to that degree. But thinking of Mistress Doriado, though, I don't know what they could really do. Maybe an Underworld Goddess card? You know, they could make a link for it says, oh no, that just sounds horrible. I know nobody wants to have a link for it. It says, when you combine all the types together, you make the avatar. And it's just Mistress Doriado is the avatar. I know nobody wants that right now, but that is something that they could explore. You know, another link monster to potentially change types on the field. You know, that just seems like more goes in match support. Once per turn, declare an attribute. Everything on the field, or everything that's summoned for the rest of the turn becomes this type. And then just every deck generically gets access to goes in match. And we were already seeing, like, how good Stealth Kraken and goes in match is. You know, putting that generically on some sort of link monster or exceed monster just doesn't seem like a really good idea going forward, Konami here. So there's really no other information available on Power of the Elements. The only real thing that I wanted to say here is, you know, waiting for this set until June is going to be a real pain in the butt. There's not a lot in between at this point. You probably won't see delays on this, but going forward here, ladies and gentlemen, I would still pretty much assume the same thing. Things will be slow. Remember, we're still in 2022. There will be shortages on supply chains. It's the same thing that we've seen every single time at this point. So hopefully Power of the Elements gets to live up to the hype it's actually already building behind Dimension Force here, because Dimension Force is absolutely awesome. Dimension Force was at least easy. We at least knew it was probably going to be Arc V support. So Power of the Elements is a real interesting one. hope you Jaden fans out there enjoy your support. Guys, leave a comment about Tomato Racing. Smash the little crap out of that subscribe button. And I'll see your beautiful face back here later and with some more cool ass content. Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.